Good afternoon. Welcome to Community Matters. I'm your host, Becky Steinbruner, and I appreciate you all being out there on this beautiful sunny day following a rather blustery one we had yesterday and listening in to the program today. I hope that you will call in and be my guest on Community Matters today. I'll be talking about a number of different issues, and I hope you will take an interest in at least one of them and call in and let's talk about your thoughts about them. The number to call will be 831-265-5050. And I want to apologize right away for the problems that some of you may have had last week when we had two guests, Mr. Rick Longinati and Mr. Frank Barron, on as guests, and they were both on the telephone. One caller came in and stayed on the line with us, and I learned that there is a maximum number of people that can be on this system at once, and I had met that. So people let me know afterwards they had tried to call in and the line was busy, and I really want to apologize because I was not aware until last week that there is a maximum number. So when you call in today, we'll talk, and then I'm going to need to ask you to drop off the line to allow other callers to come on and participate in the discussion. So again, welcome to Community Matters. This is Becky Steinbruner, and right out the door, I also want to thank Satellite Workplace and Digital Media Center for their wonderful facility that they have here. Where our studio is, it's at 325 SoCal Avenue in Santa Cruz. It is located between the beautiful San Lorenzo River, which is quite full and muddy right now, and Ocean Street on the other side. So this is a wonderful facility. If you're looking for a place to rent by the hour, by the day, by the week, for different purposes, whether it be just a remote place to work or a meeting space, this is the place. It's clean, quiet, very secure, and very reasonable. On the first Friday of every month, you can come use it for free and test it out. You can also do different kinds of podcasts and digital media productions here. We share this space with community television, a gem in our community that makes it possible for those of us who cannot attend the 9 a.m. Tuesday Santa Cruz County Board of Supervisor meetings in person or remotely. Community television records those, and they record many other very important local meetings such as the Regional Transportation Commission, Capitola City Council, SoCal Creek Water District, and I think maybe even the Pajaro Valley School District. You can see those by going to community television and type in Government on Demand, and about 6 different, maybe more, recordings of jurisdictional meetings will come up, and it's really, really valuable. So many thanks to community television that we share the space here in Satellite Workplace and Digital Media Center. Again, that's at 325 SoCal Avenue in Santa Cruz. So today, I was not able to get a confirmed guest in time, but I'm hoping in the near future to get a couple of people here from the Citizens Initiative on Affordable Housing that's happening in Santa Cruz City right now. It's quite controversial, and I'm hoping to get them in as my guest next week, hopefully. If not, then maybe the next week. So I don't know enough about it myself to talk with you about it, but if you have something to say about it, please feel free to call in. The number is 831-265-5050. Now, I wanted to give you, first of all, relating back to my wonderful guests last week that talked about the Santa Cruz City downtown plan expansion. This is probably the biggest project downtown Santa Cruz has ever seen. And if you've been in downtown Santa Cruz recently, you will know what I'm talking about when I say that the the feel of downtown is much different now. There's a lot of construction, high rise for us anyway, construction happening along the river on Front Street and other places in the city too. But the downtown core is about to explode with this draft EIR, Environmental Impact Report, that is now available for public comment until a week from today by 5 p.m. It is quite shocking, really, that the city would be proposing this level of expansion, high rises, a very large enclosed arena. The draft environmental impact report is inadequate in many respects, and my guests last week, Mr. Frank Barron and Mr. Rick Longinati, spoke very eloquently about that. I want to point out to you that Mr. Frank Barron has a letter to the editor in this week's Good Times about this very thing. I'd like to read that to you because he's very eloquent. He is a retired city and county planner. He knows what he's talking about. He was one of the two organizers that tried to limit the building height in Santa Cruz City with Measure M, I think it was, on the March 2024 ballot initiative. It was a true citizens initiative that I also helped work on, and it was trying to get increase the amount of affordable housing and while limiting the height of buildings, subject to the vote of the people. Unfortunately, it did not pass. But he is a real example of someone who takes action to support what they believe in is right. Both he and Mr. Longinati are, in my book, one of the most great involved activists in our community who take action, who spend a lot of time, a lot of money doing what they feel is right and organizing people to help fight for what matters to them. And in this case, I want to preface this downtown expansion plan with, what is Santa Cruz going to become? Many people from the Bay Area want to come here certainly because of the beaches, but because it helps them get away from a large, very busy metropolitan feeling area. If this goes through, that will all change. Let me read to you how Mr. Frank Barron phrases all of this in the opinion page of this week's Good Times. The title, it's on page 4, is Another Big Project Planned. Remember the outrageous 16-story clock tower center skyscraper that a development company called Workbench proposed last year? That 192-foot tall building was allowed in a 50-foot height limit zone because of the state's new 100% density bonus law. Let me say that again. It was allowed under the state's new 100% density bonus law, known as AB Assembly Bill 1287, which allows developers to build much taller than the local zoning would normally allow. That skyscraper project is on hold, for now I may add, but it could be resurrected. Now Santa Cruz City leaders want to, this is moving on now to page 8 of this week's Good Times opinion section, want to move on now to increase the building height limits in the south of Laurel area, and that goes by an acronym of SOLA, even though they don't need to raise them to meet state-required housing goals or to build the proposed new Warriors Arena. That's the big draw here in this project, a big arena, enclosed arena for the Warriors and other events. They are about to make a huge mistake. By raising the zoning height limits to 85 feet as proposed, developers will be able to come in and build skyscrapers twice or 3 times that tall. The city does not need to raise the height limits. If they do, it will be an unnecessary, self-inflicted, and irreversible wound that will forever change the Santa Cruz that we know. This is likely the biggest, most impactful development proposal in the city's history. If it proposes to significantly upzone 29 acres of the south of Laurel, Sola area to allow 1,600 to 1,800 new housing units in a series of 12-story plus buildings. Imagine that. This is down in the area around where the police department is, Loudon Nelson Center, along the river in that area, adding 1,600 to 1,800 new housing units in a series of 12-story plus buildings. The draft environmental impact report came out a couple of weeks ago with a comment period deadline of February 21st at 5 p.m. You can find it by searching Downtown Plan Expansion at cityofsantacruz.com. And that was written by Mr. Frank Barron. Very well put. And I urge you all to take a moment to look through that document. It's a big one. It's about 800 pages. And if you've never looked through an environmental impact report, I urge you to just look at the index and see what piece of it would be of interest to you. What piece of it would be of interest to you? And find that piece in the report itself and read it with a critical eye. What are they including? What are they not including? Our guests last week, and Mr. Lee Brokaw called in as an experienced building contractor and had a lot of worry about the height. We all know that it is a very high water table in this area of town, and so that would mean there would have to be pile drivers ramming these metal pilings down to the bedrock. There's no examination in the draft EIR of the noise of that, of the impact of that noise to the wildlife next to the site at the river. Certainly not to the people around. What will be the aesthetic effect of this, especially for those who view it from the hill above? What will be the traffic? That's not really recognized at all. And take a look at that. We need to just take one piece of it, and if each of us takes one piece of it and makes a comment and shows up when it comes to the next public meeting, it will have a big impact. And we have to demand that our elected leaders, in this case, the city planning, well, they're not elected, but the city council members are elected. Start talking with those council members now. The project would facilitate the additional development of various circulation, land use, infrastructure revisions. The future development would be, as I said, up to 1,800 housing units and 60,000 square feet of commercial area. Redevelopment would replace approximately 66 dwelling units. Replace means they'll be bulldozed. 66 homes will be bulldozed, and 76,770 square feet of commercial uses. So basically bulldoze. Maybe you've seen what happened there along the river in the old metro station area. That is completely, it's all been bulldozed and now in the process of high rise. The new arena construction will be approximately 180,000 square feet of permanent sports and entertainment arena for the Santa Cruz Warriors basketball team. The arena will contain a main event court with spectator seating for approximately 3,200 seats for basketball and approximately 4,000 seats for concerts and performances. Additional facilities would include a practice facility consistent with additional court and training spaces, a supporting concession, retail, administrative uses. This would replace the existing 35,000 square foot temporary arena that has 2,475 fixed seats for basketball and 3,100 fixed seats and temporary seating for other entertainment. That's the big tent that you see, the Kaiser Permanente tent. That's the temporary one. For reference, the Santa Cruz Civic Auditorium has about 2,000 seats. I looked that up on the city's website. Now here's this final piece about building height. No new development shall exceed the heights of 85 feet. As a result of compliance with any density bonus provision, building heights adjacent to Beach Hill hillside shall be limited to no more than 70 feet to provide a transition in height adjacent to Beach Hill neighborhood. Additional height is permitted throughout the application of a density bonus. That's what Mr. Barron was just saying. It could be much, much higher. And the city's sponsored downtown density bonus or other local density bonus provisions. So take a look at this. This is the biggest thing that has come our way and will really change downtown Santa Cruz. There are significant and unavoidable impacts on historic resources because they're going to be bulldozing a lot of historic buildings. There are some things that they say, and significant and unavoidable. It's just, oh, well, sorry, the benefit of this project outweighs the adversity of bulldozing history, is what they're saying with this. And then there are a number of other impacts that are significant but can be made to be less significant and damaging with mitigations. So take a look at that. And again, that's on the downtown plan expansion on the City of Santa Cruz website. I hope you'll take a look. I'm going to, if you'd like to call, please do so. And I'm a little nervous because I thought I would be receiving some calls. I'm not. So I may take a bit here and see if I can hook this up again because I'm a little nervous about it. Yes, I'm a little nervous about it because I want you to be able to join. Okay, let's try it here again. I'm so sorry. I'm
ready to connect.
All
Click
right.
Connect to show now.
Okay, here we go.
You are connected as the host. Welcome, host. You are now in the host room and can manage your callers from the call-in studio web interface. Audio recording is on. Dual channel.
Okay, I'm sure hoping that it's working. All right, my apologies. I always get nervous about this because I've had a lot of problems with this. Anyway, please call 265-5050. And let's see here. Well, I'm not convinced I'm hooked up yet, so I'm going to keep talking. so that I don't have a bunch of dead airspace here. And my apologies, people, my apologies. Yeah, I'm trying to get this hooked up. Let me just try one more time. My apologies, folks. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. The next thing I'm going to be talking about is an excellent talk that I attended this morning at UCSC. It was given by the Professor Aiello, who, now it looks like we're going here. Yes, we're hooked up now. So now I have better confidence. So call in, area code 831-265-5050. So the talk that I attended this morning was at UCSC in the Natural History Science Annex. And I always get so lost at UCSC. I don't know about you, but I always get so lost. But I managed to find it with the help of a number of students that I asked along the way. And perhaps even more amazing, I was able to get logged into a 20-minute parking space, which I stayed longer than, but by another miracle, I did not get a ticket. I was prepared to get a ticket because it would be worth it. But Professor Aiello is the Ivano Aiello. He's with Moss Landing Marine Labs in Moss Landing. And he's the fellow whose work has been in the news recently following the January 16th, beginning January 16th, Vistra battery fire at Moss Landing. What a disaster. What a disaster. And what has bothered me is that Santa Cruz County officials have just taken the attitude, well, that happened in Monterey. It's not for us to worry about. But I saw the plume of smoke. It came here. And Monterey County is supposedly doing some work, sampling water and soil, but I have not yet seen any publicly released data. It only came from two sources, the data that we've seen. The first was with Professor Ivano